Ready this way. 5, 2, 8.
Oh, wow. Nice.
You got it.
None.
Well, it's good to be out of the dust. Welcome aboard, everybody. Now, once you all find your seats, I'm going to ask you to please buckle your seats.
There you go. Oh, Japan.
The tires are 1.65 meters tall. That's about almost 5 feet tall. And they're about a meter wide, or about 3 feet wide. And now we're just about ready to begin, but before we do, I would just like to break the ice. You like that one? Don't worry, there's plenty more where that came from. My name is Rocco, I did tell you this, but I didn't tell you that I was born in East York, now known as Toronto. I spent most of my life in the province of Ontario. My first time leaving Ontario was when I was 28 years old, and it was aboard Via Rail train number 1 en route from Toronto to Jasper. Now I'm up here in the beautiful Canadian Rocky Mountains. I'm never going back to Ontario. Folks, I'm just joking. I love my hometown. But I want to tell you one more thing. Please don't laugh. My first time seeing the ocean was 2 weeks ago. So now you know a little bit about me. Let's hear about you. Where are you guys coming from?
California.
California, Ohio, welcome. Mexico, welcome. Kentucky, welcome. Denmark, good to have you, welcome.
Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C. I've got a fun fact for you later.
Washington State.
Washington State, for a Canadian that doesn't understand geography, what's the difference? None. Okay. That's what I thought. Who else do we got here? There's gotta be more than that, folks. What was that? Dublin, welcome.
England.
Anybody? Paraguay, welcome. Anybody else? Anybody else?
17.
Bueller. Just kidding, guys. That's all the time we have for introductions, though. I would like to tell you that that is my favorite part about this job. A lot of people don't realize this, but I've actually never left my home country. And working here has given me the opportunity to meet so many different people from all across the world. And we are all here for one reason. That is to experience the beauty of the Canadian Rocky Mountains. And folks, this is the most beautiful place in the world to me. And I'm so glad that we get to share it together. Now I'm going to tell you about the beauty, but before I do, there's something a little bit more important. The original inhabitants of this land were the original caretakers of this area. The footprints of First Nations have covered this land for generations. They cared for this place, they protected it, and they knew long before we ever did how important and special the Columbia Icefield is as a source of water. Now, one of the local First Nations, the Stoney people, they taught us how to say the Athabasca Glacier in their language. Would you like to hear it?
Yeah.
The Stoney people say Chaha Tonga. Very good. Chaha Tonga. Very, very good. Alright, so Chaha means ice. Tonga means big. Can anybody translate for me? Big ice, you got it. Folks, the Columbia Icefield is massive. My friends from Washington, D.C. Hope you're ready for this. Has anyone ever been to Washington, D.C.? Yes. Has anyone ever been to Vancouver?
Yes.
Folks, the Columbia Icefield is the same size. It's 100 square miles, or about 165 square kilometers. It's huge. We are not going there today. I'll show you where it is though. Look straight ahead. Can you see the bright blue sky up there? Folks, that bright blue sky, where it's touching that big icy ridge, that is where the Columbia Icefield ends. So ice fields and glaciers are very similar, but they have one important difference. Does anybody know what that is? It's okay if you don't, I'll tell you. Just checking to see who was on Google this morning. Alrighty, so let's go with an example, because it's so much better to picture the difference than it is just to talk about it. Let's talk. I want everyone to follow along. You're going to take your hand and you're going to make a cup with your hands. Now I want to see you guys at the back. Yeah, alright. So you have a cup. Pretend to fill your cup with water. Alright? It is going to be a bumpy ride, like I said, so be careful not to spill it. This cup of water represents the ice field. Picture it like a big frozen lake. What happens when you open your fingers? The water flows out. So imagine when you're opening your fingers, the cup is getting too full. All of your fingers are these mountains all around us. The spaces in between your fingers, they are the valleys. This is one of those valleys right here in front of us. And the water flowing through your fingers, like giant frozen rivers, are the glaciers that are fed by the Columbia Icefield. So when that cup gets too full, imagine the edge of the cup is that big icy ridge up there. When it starts to overfill, the ice comes cascading down the cliffs. That's what we call glaciers. The glaciers are forming inside the ice field and then flowing down the hill. Now we are about to make like a glacier. Those of you in the front, I know you've seen it already. Those of you in the back, let's take a look up at the front. What do you see?
Oh my god.
Oh my
Gonna
god,
jump,
she
huh?
says.
Are we
Anybody, what
gonna-
are we seeing? A cliff. Did somebody say absolutely nothing? Good answer.
Are we gonna-
Are we going
Are the tires
to...
okay?
Are the tires okay? Any more questions? Folks, don't worry.
Yeah.
We're currently sitting at the top, the highest point on the lateral moraine. Lateral means the side. Moraine is a French word. In the late 1800s, the English said yoink. We like that word, so we're going to say it in English as well. But moraine originated as a French word that was a word for a glacier deposit, which also means it's a fancy word for a pile of dirt and rocks. We're on the top of this dirt and rock pile. We're headed down to the bottom. This road down the lateral moraine is the steepest unpaved, commercially used road in all of North America. This hill is at a grade or a slope of 32%. It feels like more than that too, I'll say that. Folks, 32%. Don't worry, these vehicles, they were built to withstand up to 36%. We have quite a lot of wiggle room. On the way down, I am going to pause the tour. And that is to get us down safely to focus on driving. But if you're having fun on the world's slowest moving roller coaster, you can put up your hands. Woo! Or, if you get scared, don't worry. Just do what I do. Just kidding. Enjoy the ride, folks. On the left-hand side, you're going to see, you might see a rock slide on the left-hand side. It is very prone over there. On the right side, that's Skywalk Lake. I'll see you at the bottom.
Is that lake the source of that mountain river that's
You bet. I'll talk more when we get to the bottom.
You go faster.
Alrighty, folks, we've just reached the bottom here. I had a question, but first I want to ask you, was that ride fun? Very suspenseful. Was anybody scared? No, thank you. I'll take the compliment. So we did have a question. That lake you saw on the right-hand side, that is what we call Skywalk Lake. Skywalk Lake comes from the Athabasca Glacier. The melting water flows down the glacier. And it looks like 3 separate lakes, but there's really only one lake. And we'll explain that a little bit later, but I'd like to say that Skywalk Lake, if you came from Jasper today, you may have seen Skywalk Falls. Anybody see Skywalk Falls? This is where the water comes from. That big, powerful waterfall, a lot of it goes flowing down the road here. It separates from the road after a little bit, but then eventually it meets up at Skywalk Falls. And Skywalk Falls meets up with the Athabasca River. And if you came from Jasper, you may have also seen Athabasca Falls. Both are 2 very powerful sets of waterfalls. You can see them on your way to Jasper. Well, let's get talking about this. So, that big hill behind us, that was called the lateral moraine. Now this road here, this is a different kind of moraine. This is what we call the ice core moraine. Let's go with a big yay if you've never been on a glacier before. Yay! That sounded like a lot of us. Folks, you can't say yay anymore. Believe it or not, you're on the glacier right here. Right now. This moraine, this thin layer of dirt and rocks, it's about 1 meter or about 3 feet thick of rocks. Below it is pure ice. All the ice you see in front of us, it's actually underneath this road. A lot of the rocks have fallen down over the years. And you guys are going to see Sean out here on our right-hand side. Sean is one of my bosses. Everybody wave to Sean.
Hi, Sean.
What a happy guy. Okay, so this big puddle right here in front of us, this is our second obstacle. We have to wash the tires. Did anyone see how many tires we have? 6 tires. We need 6 strong volunteers. Raise your hands. 3 back there. All right, can you bring the brushes up when you come up? I'm just joking, folks. Don't worry. This is an automatic tire wash. We're going to drive through nice and slowly. And you'll see, if you're looking at the tires, you're going to see how dirty they are. They're going to be nice and clean. And this is why I said don't take your pictures at the beginning. When we get on the glacier, the tires are going to be nice and clean for you. But that's actually not the main reason why we wash the tires. We do have to wash the tires but it is not necessarily for your pictures. Now, does anybody know why do we wash the tires? To make sure it stays clean. Okay, so let's elaborate. Why would you want to keep the glacier clean? I like where you're going. I just want to see. There was one little answer up here, and then I heard somebody back there say, because it'll melt it. Is that what you said? Folks, you're absolutely right. I'm going to tell you right now, it's just like wearing a black t-shirt on a hot summer day. How do you feel? Hot? You feel like you're going to melt? Folks, glaciers are exactly the same. The dirt, the rocks, the mud, those are all darker colors. Just like your black t-shirt, they absorb the sun's heat. They cause it to melt faster. And I'm going to tell you about the melting of this glacier, but before I do, I would just like to give you a bit of a disclaimer. I am not a scientist. Many of you have probably guessed this already. I'm not a scientist. We get a lot of our information from the very, very talented students and professors at lots of different universities. The University of Calgary, the University of Alaska, Appalachian University. They come here every year to study glaciology. Last year, NASA was our special guest. Do you guys know NASA?
Yeah.
Folks, NASA came here. They were doing research. They were experimenting on their new robot. They want to send a robot up into space. And they had to test it on a glacier. So this was the best spot for them. If you want to hear about their new robot, I'll tell you. Just come and ask me when we get off the bus. But I'd like to tell you that NASA did a presentation for all of us guides to sort of give us an update on where this glacier is. And let me tell you, they said, sit down, Houston, we have a problem. The Athabasca Glacier is losing 7 meters or 21 feet of height every year. This glacier is also losing 20 to 30 meters, 65 to 95 feet of length every year. This glacier is about 3 miles, or about 5 kilometers long. If you got your calculator back there, you're doing any kind of math, that gives us 30 to 60 years left. Now, before we get out to explore this beautiful melting glacier, we need to talk about your safety. Glaciers are one of the most dangerous places in the world. If you don't believe me, look on the left-hand side. Take a look. On the left-hand side, can you see this? It almost looks like a giant crack. Kind of like the Grand Canyon of glaciers. Folks, there are lots of those out there. The one beside us on the left, that is called a crevasse, and it is deep. It is as deep as the Eiffel Tower is tall. Has anybody ever seen the Eiffel Tower? Say yay. Yay. Folks, don't make fun of me. I only just saw the ocean, but I know that the Eiffel Tower is a very tall tower. And if you fell down that crevasse, I would have to call Parks Canada to rescue you. Parks Canada is a lovely government agency. They take care of the parks. They're in charge of rescue. Parks Canada is a government agency. Anybody knows dealing with the government usually takes 5 to 7 business days. I'm just kidding, guys. That's a joke, but this is not, so please listen closely. Straight up ahead, you are going to see the red signs. The red signs are your boundary area. This is the safe area that we've surveyed, we've checked it out, we know it's safe. Do not, I'm only going to say this once, do not go past the boundary at any time. It is not safe to do so. If you do cross the boundary, I will run up to the line, I will tell you that it is not safe.